Good morning, afternoon, evening, where everybody is calling from today. People are still dropping in, so as usual, we will get started with a couple polls. Please do find the questions box and just drop in where you're calling from. We have, tons of the TAM team in the background here to answer any questions that come up. But we'll get started while those people are registering, and we'll just launch those first few polls. And here we go. Pretty simple. Have you installed an IQ4 yet? Pretty different than no. Here we go. Yeah, just the nose started to take off there, but yeah, we're still very similar to previous. We're about a third of you have installed an IQ4, and that's great. All right, we'll just give that one 3 more seconds. Give people a chance to vote. All right, we'll close that poll. There we go. Are you currently using the setup wizard when you're setting up the IQ panel initially? So yes, no, or you're gonna start. Yeah, I think after Scott and Patrick have shown you some of the cool stuff in the setup wizard, I'm pretty sure you'll be those folks who have not used it or are about to start should really start. Definitely make setting up your IQ panels a whole lot simpler. About 60% are using the setup wizard currently. All right. Couple more. After you complete your install, do you do a sensor test or a power G test, depending if you're using SRF or power G? All right, oh yeah, 100% with a yes. That's awesome, right? Oh, never mind. We got 10% didn't know there was one, right? Well, you're going to see it again today. Scott and Patrick will definitely show that off, and definitely makes your install a whole lot simpler. And you'll know if you're going to have any kind of RF issues in advance. So that's awesome that 94% of you are using it. That's great. All right, we'll close that one off. Now it's a similar question. When you're doing a Z-Wave install or making changes to the Z-Wave network, are you completing network rediscovery? So yes, no, didn't know that was an option, or you don't install Z-Wave. All right, so yeah. Just over 94% are doing a network rediscovery, which is incredible. 6% didn't know that was an option. So again, you're going to see some cool tips and tricks today. So we'll just give that one a minute. All right, last one. So which on-screen diagnostics do you currently use? So you can select all that apply. So the SRF on-screen diagnostics, Power G, Z-Wave. What are you currently using? So 100% so far using Power G, lots using Z-Wave map, about half using the SRF on-screen diagnostics. Very interesting. But 100% on the Power G. That's awesome. All right, we'll just give that one a couple more seconds. A few of you still need to vote. Looks like everybody has got in and settled. We haven't seen any new attendees for a second. So there we go. We'll close this one off. And Scott, over to you, my friend.
Great, thanks, Neil. Thank you all for joining today. As Neil's mentioned, my name's Scott Dry. I'm the TAM for Western Canada here. So I'm going to start with the wizard before Patrick takes over. And so we're just going to slide over to my visor here, and you can see the wizard. So whenever you start up the IQ4, the wizard's going to populate for you. And now we've added multiple languages. There's actually up to 18 languages in here that you can use when you're setting up your system. And then we're just gonna follow along with the wizards. As Neil said, it's a very simple process, and I bet you could do probably 90% of what you need to do just following this path. So first thing you need to set up is your Wi-Fi network. I kind of skipped this part just because it takes a little bit of time. You got to enter the password and things like that. So you're just going to look for that SSID of your client's site, and then you're just going to enter the password and hit connect. So first thing, and very important, you're going to want to add that. Next thing we do is we just hit the next again. Now it does its own self-diagnostics, and it'll go through and do its own testing. So it starts out with the Wi-Fi, and then it's going to go and check your AC power, make sure you got power connected, make sure the battery's connected and charging. It's going to check your Z-Wave card is installed and activated, your Power G, then your SRF of either 319, 345, or a 433 card. So again, it's going to do its own self-diagnostics, so you know that everything is working right out of the gate. Now, if you had your alarm.com set up with any pre-programmed or your dealer information, then it's going to pull it from the cloud and load it all back in. And then boom, system settings are downloaded, you're done. So that's how quick that is. So that doesn't take too long. Now you can start doing your process of learning in your devices and moving through the programming side of things. So first of all, you can add your sensors and you can add them all here. So if you've got them sitting there on your bench or whatever you're working on, you go in, you trip your first sensor. One thing I like to point out here is with the PG9945, that's our door window sensor, Power G version. When you get here, just one note, you notice it only defaults as a door window, but we have many dealers that have been using this for other inputs, you know, like heat detector, things like that. And I get calls on it quite often that they say it's stuck on the door window. If you read and you change this to normally open or normally closed, for in this case, I'm just going to change it to a normally closed, then I can go through and now I got more options in there for my zone types. So just mental note there, and then if you change these, it will follow the sensor group of the option you choose. Again, you can go through, we've done plenty of this already, you can do custom descriptions, you can change your chime types and things like that. So if that's good for you, you can just go ahead and save that. Wait for it to save, and then I could just keep going on. So I could keep learning in my sensors. The next thing it'll do is it'll actually do a test. So I'm gonna leave this for Patrick because he's gonna get into this a little bit longer, but it's gonna do your sensor test right away. Well, in my case, I'm sitting here right by the keypad, so it is strong. Next, if you're using the glass break in the panel, you can go ahead and enable that. If you're doing any Z-Wave, we can go ahead again and do this. So if we go in here and we hit the start button, first of all, we recommend that you clear. I go over to my device is cleared that quickly. I go ahead, I can add my device and it's getting the device details. It'll populate. I'm just using a little lamp module here. Boom, again, if I want to rename this, I can change the name on this unit. I save it. I could add more devices, so I could go through all my Z-Wave devices as well. If I'm done there, the next thing it's going to ask is basically my rediscovery. If I want to run a rediscovery, the more devices I have, better opportunity to go through and do that. And then you can even do your view your network map right here. So you can see I'm really close to this unit here. And we just keep flowing away here. So if you want to pair a Bluetooth, so if your client is going to use the Bluetooth disarming features, then you could set up their phone, so have it ready with your client, and then you can add that right away right here by going through the pair. The IQ remote, I kind of find depends on the situation. Some dealers will set up the IQ remote previously to set up the panel, and it has to be connected to the Wi-Fi or the access point on this. So again, it depends on the install. So you may not pair it here, but we can always do it again later. Moving on to users. I typically do not add users in the panel. I typically would suggest that you train your client how to add users via the alarm.com site because you're going to want to get them to know how it works there. So I usually would skip this, but if you wanted to, you could enter it there as well. Your contact info, again, if you had your IMEI already set up and programmed, this would all come down through the download. If you hadn't, you're going to have to go through and enter your contact information. Next thing is your check for your updates. Again, updates are only done via the Wi-Fi, so you have to be on the Wi-Fi. It will go through and update the latest Wi-Fi here. Or sorry, updates for the panel firmware. Now, I hear lots of dealers will, at this stage, kind of get their client over and get them to get their smartphone out, get them to scan the QR code. They can set up their alarm.com, you get them kind of going. And then the next thing, and I like this idea, is you can play this video for them. So because the video's ready right here, you can kind of turn it over to your client, play this little video, kind of keep them content for a bit, and then you can start going, you know, either finalize your install, where your devices are, or you can start cleaning up or whatever works best for you. So as you can see, just going through this wizard, very simple process. It doesn't take long. Depends on how many zones Z-Wave devices. And then once you're done the wizard, again, if you got a few little minor details to set up, you can go around and just go back into the programming, set up your other information there. So we can leave it open right now if there's any questions. We're going to switch over here to Patrick here in a second, but is there any questions out there, guys?
It's looking a little cold up there, Scott.
It is a little chilly out here.
All right, Pat, I'm switching you over.
And all right, guys, so hopefully you're seeing that screen here. Got my visor up, and
No, hold on, Pat. Your visor's on the other screen. There you go.
There we go. All right, so there's a lot of on-screen diagnostics that are built into the panel to make the installation a lot easier, as well as make sure things are set and good to go before you leave. Get this out of your way here. So we're going to go into advanced settings. Remember your default installer code's 1111, and go to system tests. There's a ton of options on here. There's anything from testing your Wi-Fi, testing your cell. We're going to dive into a couple of them today, talking about sensor tests. So right here you can see that I've got my sensor enrolled. Everything's looking really good, got a strong signal. The graphing feature is actually really cool. You can zoom out and see the status of what's been going on, and you'll notice that there's this red bar and this yellow bar. What you want to make sure of is that you're about 7 decibels above that yellow bar to have good signal strength. An additional thing that you can do that's kind of cool is you can change your color mode, and you're going to notice that a lot of things have changed. If you're not sure what it is, you can click on this information and it'll show you, was it a tamper, was it an alarm, or was it just a normal check-in? So going through and checking your secondary RF sensors is simple, easy to do, and make sure that you're not going to have return trips back out there. Moving on, it sounded like a lot of you guys had done the Power G test. So there's easy to do. Really cool thing with the Power G test is you don't have to do any walking. You can do it all right there on the panel without going anywhere. I'm going to move down to this motion detector and talk about this More tab. So you'll notice, like on the outdoor curtain motion, which is what we're showing here, the PG9902, it shows a lot of different information. You can test the LED if you have a lot of them, so you can go out and find it. And you'll notice that we're working on adding some features where it's also going to show the temperature and additional items as future updates come out. But if I just click run on here, it's going to go through, check that Power G sensor, and once it completes the test, you'll notice that it turns bold and shows that it has a strong signal. Any questions coming in, Neil?
Nope, you're doing good.
Hey, Patrick, what's that unsupported mean?
The unsupported, that's a great question. So you'll notice that this is on the hardwire translator. You'll see that they all have the same ID here. So it'll test the radio that's in the hardwire translator itself, but these individual inputs are the hardwired inputs into that translator. Great question. And then moving on to the Z-Wave tests. There's a lot of different things you can do here. It sounded like everybody was doing a rediscovery, so that's a great way to start. And then you've got this mapping feature that's pretty cool. I've got a couple different devices learned in there. And on the newer IQ4, you'll notice that it actually shows like what your current dBm is for each individual one of those Z-Wave devices. If you're having a hard time seeing it, you can move it around, make it easier for you to read and see, but definitely makes it so that you can ensure that your Z-Wave network is set up, ready to go, and you don't need to add any repeaters. Another good thing to look at is your communications. So if you run a Wi-Fi test, that's just going to test whether it's connected to your router locally. It's not going out and talking to alarm.com, but by running the dual path Wi-Fi test, it's actually going to double check and make sure that is working with alarm.com and communicating over the internet. Last one I'll show you guys is the panel test. So I recommend that everybody does this before they leave the site after they've gotten their full set of signals sent. You can hit run all. One thing to be cognizant of if you're doing that is it's going to test the siren, which is pretty loud. So make sure if you're going to hit run all that you're aware that that siren is going to go off. But it'll go through, it'll check everything that Scott had talked about in his wizard and make sure you're good to go before you walk out the door. And then it actually logs that in alarm.com as well in the history. So you can go back and make sure that it was done before the technician left. So questions so far? Anything at all, guys?
No, you guys are doing great. No questions. Everybody, you must be educating everybody very well.
Or they all been using it. That's great to hear. The 60% said they were using it, so they're pretty familiar with it. So that's great.
All right, I got to figure out how to switch this down so that you guys can see it.
They got the newbies on the site today to do the presentation. That's what it is. It's okay, Patrick. Me too.
It does not want to pull up on here. So a couple other things that Scott was going to talk about here. Scott, if you kind of want to talk about this a little bit, and I can drive for you.
Perfect. Thanks, Patrick. So if you're not registered on the Qolsys site, I suggest you get registered. There's lots of great information there. There's training as well. Even the IQ4 panel trainings up there. So you can set up your technicians or yourself to just run through it. I even recommend there's some S-line training on devices. If you get somebody kind of really green to the network or to the security industry, it's a great way for them to kind of, learn how door window sensors work and motions and things like that. So training's great on there. Our announcements, if we have firmware updates, things like that, they're always on that site. Panel simulators, it's great for your smartphone. If we've got sales people on this call, you can set that up on your phone and actually demo an IQ panel on your smartphone or tablet and things like that. There's marketing tools as well, so make sure to get registered if you haven't already. There's the tech support number as well, so feel free to reach out to them. And maybe Patrick, thanks. We'll just leave that up for a moment. So if you need tech support, that's a great resource. Us TAMs are available as well, but we're not, always available. But you can reach out to them at any time. So between that 8 and 8. Next screen there, Patrick. Facebook page. So there's plenty of TAMs and great dealers out there. Maybe some of you are in our class today. We appreciate your support as well for our product lines. I was talking to Neil earlier today. It sounded like he was pretty busy on there last night. So you'll get Neil on there. Patrick's even been on there. So great Facebook pages. If you haven't joined these pages, I would strongly recommend you do. They're great for those after-hour calls or weekend calls when you're stuck on a site. So great resources there. So if you haven't written that down, or just take a snapshot. And next. So next thing we want to share, and these are in your attachments. We've got some documents there that you can upload. Is maybe you don't know who your technical accounts manager is for your area. So we've left a document there you can upload and have for access. So I myself am covering Western Canada. We have Adrian Apong in Central Canada and Pierre Vachon for Eastern Canada. So there's our Canadian team. Again, don't worry about writing those emails down right now. We've shared a document with that.
And then down here in the States, got a few more folks. You can kind of identify your area based off of where you are. And like Scott had said, that'll be available in the handouts. Any questions come in, Neil?
No, quiet group today. I think everybody's already in vacation mode.
So I was going to say, on the Facebook group, one cool thing, Kevin added a pretty nice video. If anybody's got questions about the backplate that got posted on the Facebook group last night, you should definitely check that out.
That's a great point. I mean, and that's, as TAMs, that's our role and our function is to be your voice, the voice of the customer, right? So we are your interactions with our product and engineering teams. So, we heard some, the feedback on the backplate, as Patrick mentioned. I think you guys should go onto the Facebook groups and check out the video for the, that Kevin posted again, right? That, all new redesigned backplate that addresses all of the concerns that were brought up as far as the first backplate for the IQ Panel 4. But again, we're here to listen. We have tons of the TAM team, as mentioned on those Facebook groups, and we're always there. We're here to support. We're here to listen. So, and we really do appreciate the feedback.
Well,
Great
awesome. Hey, Neil, I know this is the last episode of season 3, closing off 2021. Are we doing another one next year? You
betcha. So the TAM leadership team is going to be meeting in early January to kind of come up with what we're looking for season 4. We'll definitely be doing some stuff, some sneak peeks on some of the new Power G products coming out. We'll be doing some stuff on the IQ Hardwire Power G, which is getting a huge refresh early in the new year. Again, right, feedback, people wanted more zones, they wanted more power, they wanted bigger housings, they wanted, room to run all those wires. People are going to be very impressed with, what we've been able to pull off, with the IQ Hardwire Power G, wire to wireless takeover, upgrade module, however you want to word it. It's going to be pretty impressive what you're going to see, early, I'd say early Q1 of 2023 or 2022. I'm trying to jump ahead of here. You will see some pretty cool stuff, right? There's a lot of new Power G devices coming out next year. And again, all based on, feedback from you, our partners, right? It's, we can't do this without you. And we truly do appreciate, appreciate everything that you do, buying our products, giving us the feedback, attending our workshops. As a reminder, I'm going to let Pat and Scott wrap this up, but as a reminder, there is an after workshop survey. Again, please, give us some feedback on anything you want to see, right? We have that opportunity, that we're going to be doing a season 4. We'll be doing a season 5 and 6. It looks like nobody's getting voted off the island this year. So it'll be, it's going to be awesome. And, we want to give you content that makes, that makes your lives easier, that gives you, that information that you're craving. So I'm going to let that wrap up. We did have one question, Power G remote touchscreen from Joe. Joe, stay tuned for early 2022, and you will see the Power G IQ remote. Very, very, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But lots of new Power G stuff. All right, Patrick, Scott, take us home.
Go ahead, Patrick.
All right, guys. Well, happy holidays. Have a great new year. Reach out to your TAM. Don't forget to download that from the handouts and enjoy the rest of your year. Thank you.
Yes. Happy holidays and thanks to everybody attending all year. There's been lots of information. Hopefully it's been helpful and we look forward to you working with you in 2022.
Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays. Stay safe. And then we'll see you in 2022.
Thanks.